Greg, thanks so much for bringing your car in. I think it's going to make for an interesting conversation, not only because the car is an interesting car, but also you're quite the renowned Porsche painter, really. And I think that'll give us a bit of an insight into what to look out for, and where to go with restorations and stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a few years now.
A few years? How many years?
Been doing Porsches for about 18 years, somewhere like 18, 19 years from my first one, and then it just took off from that, from taking it to shows and stuff.
So with your first own car?
Yeah.
Because I think, am I right in saying that your first one was a white one?
Yeah.
And it was one of the first ones that was kind of
out there.
Pushed low down on a set of BBS C28s, was it right?
B28s.
Yeah. So through your own car, that got you a lot of business in the Porsche world. That's how it broke into.
Yeah, just by restoring it and then selling it to someone that was an enthusiast, and them taking it to shows, and then bought the next one and just carried on. And the more cars that we did, the more cars that were out there. So at most shows you had sort of like half a dozen cars that you'd done, to the point where I didn't really need to go to as many shows because your work's out there speaking for itself. And the Porsche owners normally got more than one, so it just escalates from that. Recommendation as well works really well. So now I've got a lot of friends with Porsches. Most of my mates have got them as well. So it's good. It's good for business.
What's interesting is how you almost needed that first Porsche of your own in order for people to want to bring you their own Porsches. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think at the time we were doing a lot of VWs. Mark 1s, Mark 2s, Mark 4s, and all the rest of it. So me introducing a Porsche to that scene was a little bit of a shock to start with. A little bit frowned on, maybe.
Was it? Interesting. Why was that?
Yeah, I think it was just, it felt like you were being a little bit too flash. Because obviously it's a higher value car that they considered it a higher value car, but when you explain to them the cost of that Porsche that I bought at the time was the same price as a new Mondeo ST, and that's what I used to sort of use as a comparison. So and then obviously things sort of progressed. They saw what I could do with it, with suspension, wheels, different stance. And a lot of the Europeans are doing it as well. Very soon after, there was only a couple out there when I first had mine. That's what made me want one. A couple of the Dutch lads had them out there, and I liked the look of them. So I just thought, give it a go, and just bought what I considered to be a really cheap Porsche at the time. And I enjoyed working on them. They're very well built. And then your knowledge sort of grew from the first one. You knew how to do the second one. It just got easier and easier. So I think that's when people trusted me more with their cars, because they know that I knew how to take them apart. They knew all the problem areas that we could address.
So with the white car that you had, how many years ago are we talking about for that one?
That was about 17, 18 years ago.
17, 18 years ago.
It's
a completely different world then.
It was.
What was the purchase price of that car? If you don't mind asking?
12,600. It wasn't much over. It was under 13 grand, and it was owned by a guy that worked for Continental. So mechanically it was really good. But the bodywork was just worn, and I just saw past that. I'd already driven a couple before and was amazed how well they drove, especially by the owners, because they knew how to drive them hard, and it was a shock to how well they handled, and that's what made me want one even more then. So but the price now was
it's very different, isn't it?
You could just see it creeping up, even in with the first 5 years. You know, they were slowly going up.
But it was such a compelling proposition. They were so cheap at the time. It was a bit of a no-brainer. The first one I bought was for $8 grand at the time. So, albeit mine was an absolute basket case. But it's a very different ball game. But what's interesting is that the stance look with the BBS wheels, you know, and the kind of Volkswagen adoption or
Yeah.
scene that adopted this car, the 964, into its scene, is still really going. It's really enduring. It doesn't seem to have dropped at all
No,
in
it just
popularity.
works. It works really well. You don't have to do a lot to a 964 to make it look good. Wheels and suspension, and it transforms it.
Yeah.
And then you can just put your personal touches on it, you know.
Yeah. But what's interesting is that it seems to be more the 964 than it is the 993 or
definitely.
the G series
Yeah,
that sort of really appealed to the kind of Volkswagen crowd.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a huge scene 964 is now.
Interesting.
So I must know 30, 40 people with them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So tell me about this car. How did this car come about? Where did you find it?
A friend bought it to do basically what I've done.
Okay.
And I think he realised that it was going to cost a lot of money to do the engine how he wanted, do the bodywork, interior, because it all wanted doing. The shell was really good. It's a Japanese import, so it was solid, and that's why, you know, that's the attraction to it. And he just bailed on it. He bailed on it once and then changed his mind, and then he came back to me a couple of weeks later and said, yeah, you can have it if you want. So I went straight over and got it.
Okay,
And it
before
was,
he changed his mind again.
Yeah, before he changed his mind again.
Yeah.
And all the engine had been taken out, the interior. It was sort of pretty much a rolling shell when I got it, with boxes and boxes of bits. So I wouldn't normally do that to any car for fear that a lot of stuff's missing.
That's exactly what my next question was going to be.
Yeah, and I knew that he'd taken it apart, so he was quite meticulous about taking it all apart. Everything was sort of labelled up and boxed. The engine was already at a builder to have done, and I pulled it out of there and had one of my friends do it at Porsche.
Yeah.
So
would that have been Rich?
Yeah,
Payne?
Richie Payne. Yeah, he owns Milestone 71.
So he did the engine for you?
Yeah, he did the engine for me. Yeah, he put it all in, helped me through the mechanical side of it. Yeah, very good. It was a no rush project because I'd
Let's
only just
open the
bought
deck lid if you don't mind.
Yeah, have a look.
So what did it need doing? What did the engine need doing?
I just went for a full engine rebuild in the end. People were saying it would most probably only need a top end, but the engine was already out, so it made sense just to pull it all apart. It was all balanced, ARP bolts.
Nice.
I didn't want it heavily modified. I just wanted it to be sort of stock, easy to start and just go where I want to go in it without any issues. You know.
I think often enough we get tempted when an engine is tired to go, oh, well, actually, let's start doing star green and so on. But actually, if the engine's tired, by the time you freshen it up, you're going to gain a fair old bit. You know, it's going to be a nice engine, so you might not need to do all those modifications.
No, they're good engines, so I just thought if we just put it all to stock, it's going to be plenty good enough for the use I was going to give it. I was never going to track it. It was never going to be driven really hard. Just wanted a nice, reliable turnkey car and get in whenever I want. And I've been down the modified route many a time, and they're a little bit hard work sometimes. You know, a bit temperamental, and I didn't want that.
And so a good upgrade is the ARP head bolts, because or head studs even, because they do tend to go. And whilst you're in there, it's always good to replace them all, and you might as well do the upgrade and go for the ARP ones.
That's the only mod that he said to do. Obviously he supplied all the bits. Porsche, there's a lot of bits that wanted replacing that were a little bit tired, so he just did everything. I gave him a pretty much free rein to do it, and then he said, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that to sort of improve the actual build quality of it and stop the leaks and stuff like that, which they're renowned for. So he did a great job. I think he had it for about 9 months, which was great for me because I was still cracking on with the bodywork, doing all the stuff that I wanted. It was never going to be I need to get this done to get it into a magazine. It was sort of, I'll do it at my own pace. When it's finished, it's finished. And that's how it worked. It all came together pretty much at the same time, you know. So it's
and at the same time, Richie's day job was, I think it must have been at the time in the press office at Porsche, GB.
Yeah, I think I think he was still on spanners when.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. At Porsche.
Yeah, he's progressed a lot since I've known him. He's
That's
gone
interesting.
quite high up the ladder.
Yeah, because he's not in the press team anymore.
No,
he's moved on somewhere else. I can't remember.
I'm not sure what he did. Yeah, he did tell me, but I can't remember.
So he had Milestone 71 as a side hustle alongside the day job.
His dad had got a body shop.
Yes.
And he used to use the premises there just for doing servicing work and stuff like mine. So it worked quite well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got to say, as soon as I started opening the engine lid and opening the door, it's one of the cleanest 964s I've seen. Just so tidy.
Yeah.
All the rubbers, all the plastics, all these.
Everything that looked tired was either refurbished or replaced. Spent a lot of time getting stuff powder coated, getting rid of bits and pieces which I didn't want. Aircon
and the heater. I see you've just got the bypass now.
I've got a bypass. That's carbon fibre, and we just sprayed that satin black, so it sort of looked factory, but that's
exactly the kind of thing that I would have done as well.
I just wanted it to look simple. I didn't want any carbon fibre near it.
No.
I just wanted it to look as stock as possible.
And the fan is a nice colour as well. It doesn't jump out at you, but it is visibly different.
It ought to be subtle.
Yeah.
I like
really
cars
tasteful.
where people are actually looking at them thinking, what's he actually done to it? Like your own.
Yeah,
you have to keep looking around and think, I missed that, I missed that. And I've always been like that with cars that I've done, just subtle mods, nothing leery.
Let the car speak for itself and draw you in.
Definitely. It's just the stuff that I wanted to do. I didn't do it for anybody else. I just did it the way that I wanted.
Your car, your rules.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, I'm going to talk to you about these rear lights.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff going on here.
Yeah.
I know 964s well enough to know that they shouldn't be like this. So what I'm talking about here is what's called these rubbers here on the side. You don't often see them, but more precisely, these ones going around all the edges, especially down the side here.
Yeah.
But that doesn't look factory. Well, it looks factory, but I know it's not.
Yeah. Apparently, they were off the earlier 964, the really early ones. They put it on, and apparently they caused a lot of issues. So they stopped putting them on. I'm guessing the only guess I can think of is it was trapping moisture.
That was going to say airflow.
Problem, and the cost. I mean, I think at the time when I bought them, they were, I think they're about £400 or £500 just for a couple of rubbers. But they sort of finished it off. Before, it looked like something was missing.
No, I agree with you.
And it wasn't until a Porsche specialist said, that you can get rubbers for those. So, I purchased those, and just sort of makes it look a little bit tighter.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. I really like it. Yeah. And also, yours, I remember once I had one that had cracked.
Yeah, they splinter.
And it was quite pinkish. So I was like, okay, well, number one, it's pinkish.
Yeah.
Two, it's cracked, and now I've really got to replace it.
Yeah.
So I ordered a new one. It arrived, and it didn't have a crack.
Yeah.
But it was actually just as pink.
Yeah, I did the same when I did mine. I opened the box and thought, what? They're faders.
Yeah.
But I used tinted lacquer.
That's it, because I was looking at that, and I'm like thinking that is a very deep red, much deeper than standard. Yeah.
We were tinting a lot of lights for cars with a dark tint, like a black tint, and I didn't like that, and I just experimented with putting red paint into lacquer, and they do like dyes as well that you can put into the lacquer, and then it's like a candy. The more you put on, the darker it gets. So you just put on until you're happy with it, and then you just lacquer it, and it's done.
It looks really good.
Yeah,
it looks really smart.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah. And I think for our viewers, what we're talking about here is pretty geeky. So actually, I wonder whether it might be an idea, Tom, if you have a quick look at the rear of this 964, and you'll see certainly the difference will become glaringly obvious between the two. But here it's very pink by comparison, and you haven't got any of the rubbers that go around the edges that Greg has done for his car. I think that's a really nice mod, and I've got a feeling the 964 owners who are watching this might just hit you up.
Yeah, it's straightforward. It's a very easy process. Doesn't take a lot of time at all.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
But it's everything. Like it's even the catches themselves are so clean.
Fitment. Well, they were brand new. Yeah. There's a lot of people said that I should have just got them re-zinc coated, but
by the time you've done it.
Yeah, I thought, well, they're worn catchers, so, I just replaced them. I just sat down and I got a good deal through Porsche when I did it all. They looked after me quite well on all the bits, because we're into thousands when I was replacing everything. It was
Yeah.
yeah, you can't leave anything unturned though. Everything's got to look good. When you're putting something back on, it's like, I can't put that back on.
Well, when a car is like beautifully fresh paint and you start putting a shrunken rubber on it,
like
or
a
an
waste
old
of time.
rubber,
It's horrible.
it just ruins all the work. So really, if you're going to go that far, it's all in the details at the end.
Yeah.
And I noticed it straight away when I opened the shut here to open the door. Like even this, that looks like a new one to me.
New cable, new handle,
Yeah.
all the rubbers, kick strips, everything was replaced, because it all had aged.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
But even here, actually, just looking at the detail here in the door where the check strap is and the bolts and so on.
Yeah,
you know.
we put all new rubbers. I didn't paint the bolts. I left them zinc coated, so I could do all the adjustment on the doors without damaging the paint. New pins, everything. I just sort of ticked all the boxes on the on the parts. Yeah.
The thing is also this level of detail pays off not just visually, but the car is tight.
Yeah.
You know, that's properly tight.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with the alignment stuff, correcting a little bit of that, because they weren't perfect from new. You know, they all had a bit of odd gaps and stuff like that. So we sort of did the best that we could with them.
You definitely, I've noticed the difference. I had a 964 ages ago with 350,000 miles on the clock, but eventually went. And then this thing behind me has got just under 50,000. And you can really see the difference in between a car that's low mileage, one that's higher mileage, and one that's been restored with this level of attention to detail in terms of just the way the fit, you know, things close and open, and just the tactility of the car is a totally different ballgame.
I think my first car had 100,000 miles more than this one on it. And you could definitely tell the drive and fitment and you know, the way that everything was worn compared to this one, I thought was pretty good. I think it had about 78,000 miles on it when I got it. I think it's only done about 2,000 or 3,000 miles since I've had it. It's a bit criminal.
Well, to be fair, you're a busy man, and at the end of the day, you know what's called as your car. You use it the way that works for you. Let's have a walk around and look around the details around the exterior. Oh, well, let's start at the front. So we've got a different front lip here. Now, is that a roof lip from memory? Is that right?
Yeah, it's genuine roof lip. Yeah.
So what made you go with that one specifically?
I just like the look of it, just making the car look a little bit lower, and it actually squared the bottom of the bumper off rather than it rolling under. I'd seen it on a couple of other cars, liked it. It was just difficult to sort of track one down. Eventually found someone, I think he was on eBay, and just made him an offer which was declined. And then I made him another offer maybe a month later, and he accepted. So they're quite a lot of money, but they transform the look of the front. Yeah, and
so
the fit is brilliant. They go through the standard bolt holes.
Brilliant.
So there's no drilling,
no
drilling. Literally, you just literally take the bolts out of the pan at the bottom, and it moulds over the pans and screws straight in. So it's a really easy mod, that is.
Really nice. And then I've noticed that you've got rid of a few things on the front bumper. So do you want to talk us through the modifications you've got there? Yeah,
so we got rid of the headlight washer jets, which I don't think are very functional anyway. So they had to go, and they looked a little bit ugly. And then we reduced the number plate recess to go for the 5-digit plate. It's a lot of work when you're chopping plastic and plastic welding it. But
is that what you're doing? So you're plastic welding?
Yeah. You just chop sections out and reduce it, and then just fill the fillets that you've reduced it from.
Okay. And what do you fill the fillets with? The spacers with?
If you get the plastic in at pretty much the right level, then you just use an actual plastic filler.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's fairly straightforward. It's a little bit like doing body mods on cars. You know, if you're welding something up, you just get the metal the best you can, and then just dress the shape back into it with filler. But the fillers that are available at the time were still good. You know, 3M do good plastic fillers.
Nice.
So yeah.
And do you, just going on a slight tangent, do you tend to stick with one specific program in terms of all the different primers and paints you use and so on? Or do you mix and match?
We tend to use the same brand with the primers and base coats and lacquers. With fillers, we just keep an eye on what other people are using and what we're recommended. If new products come out, we try them. Sometimes we don't like them and sometimes we do. It's a personal preference really. But as far as the primers and colours, I think it's best to, for a warranty reason, to keep to the same brand. If you have an issue, you've only got to go to one person.
Yeah.
If they see that you've been using a different brand primer under their paint, you're going to have no comeback whatsoever. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that.
Yeah, I think so. And you just get used to it, and then you're dealing with the salespeople for that brand, and they're coming in and doing demos on new stuff that's coming out all the time, which is good.
So what are your favourite type of products out there, like Glazerite, that kind of thing, or?
We're on Spectral and Novel now.
Okay.
We've been on them for most probably 5 years. We'll be using all their epoxy primers. Nice. They do a proper classic car range from start to finish, right from bare metal cars that are sitting in bare metal. They have their own sort of primer for that, and then they've got their own epoxies. They've got spray polyester fillers, high build, and then they've got all their colours as well and their lacquers. So you've just got to find the one that suits your kind of work and the way that you spray. But yeah, we've found it's a really good brand, and we haven't had problems at all. So yeah, I know that Glazerite and Sikkens are sort of high up there, but I don't think it's necessary to use really, really expensive paint when you're trying to keep the cost down for a customer. So yeah.
And is there a lot of difference between the very expensive paints and the normally priced paints?
Yeah, they sort of, I'd say they're in 3 categories. Obviously the low-end cheap paint, and then you've got the middle of the range. But what you usually find is the top-end products drop down to middle of the range with old technology, and they just keep topping up the top of the range ones. But the price difference is phenomenal. Right. Yeah, you can go from middle to top. You can almost double in price.
And in terms of performance and the end result, is there that much of a difference? Is there any difference?
It's debatable. Yeah. Some will say no, some will say definitely. It depends how anal you want to be about it.
Yeah. And what would you say?
I would say that some of the middle of the range are as good. I mean, we have to put 6 years on our insurance work. Sure. So we've seen cars that we've painted longer than that that come back to us, and they still look great as long as they're looked after. You know.
Sure.
It's like a clothes brand. People will pay a lot of money for a clothes brand. You know, is it better than something with a lower clothes brand? You know, the questions there. I think people do like to go for the high-end stuff just to say that they've used it.
I can see that.
That's just me, my opinion. Yeah, I mean, this has been painted now a good 11 years. So,
it's immaculate.
Yeah, I know I don't use it that much, but it proves if you do look after it, you know,
it's got a beautiful luster, and it is flat as a pancake. There's absolutely no orange peel in that whatsoever.
They do come fairly well out the gun. You can get them fairly flat out the gun, but any professional painter will colour sand a flat and polished process, and that's an art in itself. So
talk to me. We'll come back to the modifications you've done, and specifically about this car in a moment. But now we've gone down the road of talking about paint. What is the absolute secret to getting as much of a concourse finish as possible?
It's all down to the prep to start with, definitely. Yeah, if you can get the prep right before paint, that's key. If the prep's no good, the paint job's going to suffer, let's say. You might get the same finish to start with, but then in time, the prep will let that paint job down. So you've got to follow a strict procedure every single time. If you try and cut corners, it'll bite you.
So next question is, what's the secret to good prep?
You've got to be very good at panel work, filler work, even applications of primers and spray polyesters. It's, you know, you've got to follow all the technical data sheets properly. Don't try and cut corners and think you know better, like you say. And you've got to have a keen eye and a keen feel to bodywork as well. Like I say, if you get the prep right and you've got a good painter, you know, you should get the same result on every single job with no trouble at all.
And is there anything extra that you do towards like a car that is going to be a show concourse car compared to a car that you know is going to become, for example, a track rat?
Yeah, because I mean a track car doesn't need to be sanded and polished. They're good enough sort of off the gun, especially if they're going to get knocked and scraped. It seems to be a waste of time to spend a lot of money getting a car to a high standard if you know that it's going to be driven hard.
And probably wrapped with a livery.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and even track cars, they still get PPF'd as well. You know, that sort of preserves a good paint job.
Yeah.
Whereas show cars, it's another level. You know, it's got to be better than factory. It's going to have judges all over it. Everyone's going to be trying to find fault with it. They're not going to be praising you for the effort that you put in. They will literally go over it with a fine-tooth comb to find something wrong with it. So yeah, the procedure is a little bit less. It's longer and more expensive.
So the prep is longer.
I would say once you've painted once you've painted, you've really got to sand and re-lacquer again. They call it flow coating, so it just allows it to sit down even flatter. There's more product to sand back and to polish for a show car. All show cars are hand finished. You'll never get a gun finish for a show car. You know, I'd be able to tell a mile away, and people would be able to tell my work as well if we didn't hand sand them afterwards and machine polish them. So yeah.
Nice. So let's talk about because you do a lot of Porsches. Do you do mainly, is it mainly the old stuff or is it mainly the new stuff? Is there a 50-50 split?
I prefer 964 onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do prefer 964s, 993s. And then anything after that, 996s, 7s, we're doing all the new stuff, 991s, 902s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what percentage split of the work that you do would you say is Porsche?
I would say 40% is Porsche.
Interesting.
And then we do insurance work and private work, and we've got contracts with companies where we're looking after all their vehicles. But yeah, we do. There's always a Porsche in the workshop being done. Yeah. Maybe two.
Okay.
Yeah, always.
So let's talk about, so what's the reason for not doing earlier cars or not having much of an interest in earlier cars?
I think less knowledge for me, and I find them harder to strip, refit. Normally when you take an older car to bits, it literally falls to pieces around you. So then you've got more fabrication, more parts, which can be a struggle to get hold of sometimes. There's stuff not available. Find some of the dealers, they haven't got the knowledge and the software and stuff to know what you're going on about when you're asking about a part.
It's true, absolutely.
Whereas the new stuff, you can explain something or even have a part number and they get it right every single time. They tend to struggle with the older stuff.
Yeah, and also there's more availability with the newer cars in terms of parts as well.
Yeah.
Interesting, okay. And so let's talk 964 onwards. What are the most problematic areas when it comes to these cars in terms of rust and, rust?
They suffer really badly with anything that's had the plastic up against it. So there's normally moisture being trapped behind side skirts, so the lower quarters go. Some of the sills, lower wings, around the headlights, they suffer just above the bumpers. They suffer really badly on the scuttle to wing. There's not a lot.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot that goes on there, isn't it? It's always,
the 993s and 964s.
Down these areas.
Yeah, so we tend to take the wings off, whether they need it or not. And it's amazing what is behind the wing that you don't realise. And a lot of people don't do that. And with bare metal in a car, it sort of cleans it all back to. So
is your preference obviously always to bare metal?
Yeah, definitely.
And what do you do when a customer says to you, "Come on, we can do it for cheap"? Like,
no.
Let's just do the top bit.
Yeah, I tend to tell them to go away, save a bit more money, and come back and do it properly. Yeah. I don't like to get involved in something that's going to sort of let your name down by not doing it properly, you know.
Plus, also, you don't want the recourse. No, you don't want them coming back and saying, "Oh, I'm not happy with the paint job," and you're like, "Well, we did."
Yeah,
you did say you wanted a cheap one, and you did tell me that you didn't want to pull apart the whole car, so, you know.
They'll never tell anybody that they went for the cheap job.
Of course not.
They'll always say, this body shop did the work, and then it gets you a bad name, which, it's happened to us once, and I learnt from it. So now we just do everything, you know, properly,
bare metal properly,
religiously, do everything by the book, and then you haven't got any problems with customers slagging you off on the internet.
For sure. And there's an engine builder which I've used many times over the years, and he's had customers come to him saying, you know, what's it called, can we just do this, or can we just do that, or we don't need to redo all the plating, or we don't, it'll be fine to reuse the same head studs or whatever. And he just says, listen, you know, same as you. He goes, there are other places to go to. I'm just not the person you're looking for, I don't think. I think that, at the end of the day, it's just good business, isn't it? You just want to sell a reliable and a good quality product. And that's what keeps customers keep coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
And if they haven't got the budget for it, then really, as you say, they should come back, save a bit more and come back.
Yeah, or use somebody else. I don't mind losing work if I'm not going to be allowed to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
The way I want to do it, really. You know.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. What else? Okay, so let's go back to going around your specific car. So one thing I noticed is these headlights are a little bit more smoky than usual.
Yeah, we blacked the bowl, just sprayed that from silver, just to get a.
Is that what it is? Just a little.
Yeah. When I took, because you can take them all apart, you can take the lenses off.
And it's an absolute pain to take apart.
Those springs,
all the little tiny what is it, metal clips, spring clips.
Yeah.
Oh,
the first one I did, I didn't photograph it. I just pulled it apart, and it took me ages. So the next one I did, I photographed where all the springs went, and then. Once you've done a few, you know how to do them quite quickly. But you can take them all apart, and we just sprayed those bowls and just give it a little bit of a different look, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Yeah.
It's subtle. It's subtle enough that you could go. Yeah, a lot of
people don't even notice.
Yeah, it's subtle enough. I mean, I noticed it, and certainly when you see it next to my 964, you really see the difference. Yeah. No, it's cool. I like it. And talk to me about the bonnet badge.
The bonnet badge was bought cheap off eBay.
Is that all it is?
And it was satin black.
Okay.
And what I did, I just
sanded.
Block sanded the top of it and just left it. And I've had that on there since I did the car. And
Fair enough.
Yeah, just a little bit different, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like your number plates as well. I see they're like a metal pressed, but the letters themselves are flat.
Yeah. Years ago, you used to be able to get that size plate, and you'd be able to get the pressed letters.
Yeah.
And then they stopped doing it in the UK. So my friend got me blanks from abroad.
Nice.
And then we just put the decals, stick on decals. Got round that.
Yeah. Oh, at the moment, I don't know what it is. I'm spending a bit more time in London, seeing friends and so on, and that gel plate, mad down there. It's like these 3D, 4D
Horrible.
They're just, it's just awful.
Yeah.
I think I saw a stunning GT4 RS, and the spec was absolutely perfect. And then I noticed they had gel plates, and it was it just ruined it.
Awful.
Completely ruined it. And the thing is like, I do like 3D plates. I always run these pressed metal ones, but it's different because they're pressed metal and it's not the gel, the gooey kind of bubbly look, which is a little bit too shiny.
These just look nice, clean and sharp. That's what I like about them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what else?
The indicators have been removed.
Oh yes, of
the
course.
rings.
Yeah. That's cleaned up the line there.
And then I rewired them to the side
Did
ones.
you?
These don't normally flash.
No.
But they've got the bulb holder blank at the back, so you just drill it out carefully, making sure no bits go inside, and then you can put the bulb holder straight in. So it's a real good mod, and then they both flash together.
Yeah, because I wonder whether it's the case, because in the US they don't have them on the side.
No,
so
I bet that's like a US kind of spec thing.
It's a US spec thing.
Yeah.
But it does clean up the line. It's a really simple one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just didn't like the square amber ones.
Yeah. One thing I've done in the past on 964s is I've also got rid of the mirrors and just gone with a cup style mirror to completely clean up the line. So there's absolutely nothing interrupting from the front to the rear.
Richie Payne did that to his 964.
Yeah.
He's got those cup mirrors.
But they are completely useless and you can't see jack shit.
No.
But they look cool. And to be fair, like what's called, in my defense, I am a biker, so I'm used to looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Cool. And what else? You've debadged the rear. That looks nice and crisp now.
That's just there.
It's a very Euro look.
So that's I didn't bother putting anything back on that, just to sort of clean the back up.
Yeah.
Rear number plate is
Yes.
reduced. That's a normal UK rear section. Just reduce that, and then just put a single Porsche number plate light in instead of the double.
Nice.
And then the biggest thing was the sunroof. We got rid of that.
So how did you get rid of the sunroof? Because there's
So
so
I
many different
pulled
ways of doing it.
Yeah, I literally stripped it all down, took out all the mech and all the bracing underneath, and then I got one of my friends who does, he was doing Morgan bodies at the time, and I said, could you TIG weld the aperture up, because it's like a double curve.
It is.
Yeah, so it needed to be rolled, and he did it, and it was challenging for him. So yeah, he took about 5 days to do it, and then I finished it all off, inside and outside. Yeah, changed all the headlining.
Yeah, it's a nice
So,
job.
yeah, I always knew that.
There are some panels that you can weld in that never look right, and they just, you don't say anything, but you see it, and you just look, and you straight away you can tell the curve's not right.
I didn't want to disturb any of the gutter rails, or, you know, I thought that would be the best way to do it if we could do it. It wasn't an easy process at all. He made wooden frames to hold the metal in place while he TIG welded it. So yeah, I had a bit of a hand there. Yeah, because you only sort of get one go at it, don't you?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk wheels. So we're running a set of BBS E88s by the look of it. Is that right?
Yeah, E88s with a modified centre.
With a modified centre?
Yeah, we machined it to take the BBS badge. So it clips in, so the BBS badge clips in, rather than that like pull ring centre dome that looks, yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and obviously the motorsport, obviously they're the earlier ones with the motorsport bolts around, rather than the shaped.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
So these are quite similar to the E28s, because the E28s did the bolts in the same way, whereas the later E88s had the had that detail around it. It was almost like a wavy. And the way you can tell the difference between the E88s and the E28s is the scalloping here. And obviously these are made of aluminium, so you don't have the scare factor of running, you know, magnesium, what are essentially are race car wheels on the road. We can suffer from, what do they call it, micro cracks and so on. And I think the only way you can identify those is through scanning.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, they look really good. I love the finish on these. Talk to me about that, because it's kind of a mottled finish.
Yeah, it's called Crackle Black.
Yeah.
And they used to, they use it on gym equipment and stuff like that. So it's.
But it's quite a refined crackle.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, there's a lot that look like a reaction. That kind of crackle look quite coarse, where you're trying to clean them and it snags cloths. Whereas this was quite a smooth, fine one that we went for. Powder. That's powder coated.
And indeed, you can tell, because like what's it called? You can still read the BBS and the numbers very crisply.
Yeah.
And when it's a little bit thicker, you don't see that.
No.
I've got to say, your attention to the detail, Greg, is really outstanding. Stunning, really, really stunning. Because also these would have originally been black. They would have.
Yeah, they're anodised.
Yeah. And then you're running aluminium dishes.
Yeah, these are originally an 18-inch wheel, and I changed to a 19-inch.
This is a 19-inch wheel.
Yeah, so it's lips and barrels.
Completely fooled me there.
Yeah.
I had not. How did I not notice that?
Yeah.
That is really subtle. So these are actually 19s.
Yeah, a lot of people said it wouldn't suit it, but I think if you get the right centre, like the split wheel, and the centre looks small, it tends to disguise the fact that it is a 19-inch wheel. I think if you've got a one-piece 19-inch wheel, it would look over-wheeled, but because it's a split rim, it looks really good. So yeah, I had the barrels and lips made.
I've got to be honest with you, in my mind, I'm like, you can't go bigger than 18s on a 964, otherwise it just looks awful. But this is completely blown me. Yeah. Okay, and then you're running a set of Falcon tyres, from what I can see.
Yeah, they're the only ones available in with that size to suit that wheel at the time. I wanted the stretch. They call it the stretch. There's not much of a stretch, but I wanted to get the same kind of sidewall stretch.
So what are we running here in terms of sizes? Do you know the
That's a 215/35 at the front.
And that's on what, like an 8-inch wheel, something like that?
Yeah, 8.5.
8.5.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is the
8.5.
biggest you can go
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of width on a
yeah.
964 narrow body.
Yeah.
And then the rears, what are like a 10.5, Jay, something like that?
No, it's a 10.
That's a 10.
Yeah, and they're two, 3, 5, 30, are they? I can't remember now. Yeah.
Where are we? There we go. 255.
255,
Yeah, yeah.
30, 19.
Yeah. God, I'm blown away. I honestly, just even looking at it now, to me, they still look like 18s. That's you've nailed that one. They don't look any bigger to the.
Yeah, I think it's just the stance where you can get away with it. You know, if the car was any higher, I don't think they'd look right. I think you've got to pull the body down a bit more on 19s and get them.
So with 19-inch wheels, obviously the sidewall is even thinner then. So do you have any issues or any fears with like potholes and so on?
No, I mean you do notice it. There's no doubt about it. You know, you will notice it. It's a little bit more firm.
Yeah.
But I'm used to sort of driving low cars. I have done all my life, so.
Because this is to use the right terminology. This car is static.
Yeah.
It's not on air ride.
It's got a hydraulic lifter, so it's a KW.
HLS system.
It's a KW HLS system, so it's still all race suspension. It's got adjustable platforms and rebound and all the rest of it, and it's just got a hydraulic lifter, which it only lifts it about between 17 and 25 mil.
Just enough.
Just enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people say you've ruined it by lowering it, but like I say, it's not a car that's driven really hard. It was for me. It was to promote my business, and I built it to have that look. That's a look I was going for.
Sure.
I had it in my head right from day one, how I wanted it to be.
And so the car is running like a KW V3 system, is that it?
Yeah.
With the HRS?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's three-way adjustable, isn't it?
Yeah.
You got your height, your bump, and your rebound.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
And in terms of anti-roll bars, anything done there?
No, that was it on the.
Okay.
That was it on the handling side of it.
Going back a step, this is the thing. I mean, in some people's eye, this is certainly a controversial way to set up a Porsche.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
Well, most Porsche owners buy the Porsche to drive it hard, track it, you know, and I've never really been into that. I've always been sort of like, enjoy going to the shows, sort of building the car for the look rather than the handling. Yeah, a lot of people say it's style over substance, which one of my best mates says every single time he gets in the car.
And what do you say to that?
Yeah, I say, well, I don't care. It's for me. I don't mind. I enjoy driving it the way that it is. I don't drive it hard, and I've got other cars that I can drive quick if I want to.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, at the end of the day, I think the car community, from my perspective, is a very, very broad church. You know, and we're all individuals with our individual requirements, and I'm a firm believer in you do you and I'll do me, not just with cars, but just generally in life.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think as long as what someone is doing isn't hurting me, then all for it, you know, or hurting someone else or hurting themselves, and all for it. But specifically with cars, it's the same thing. Like I'm a firm believer in your car, your rules. And also, I also think it depends on the application of it also. Like, for example, something like this, I wouldn't recommend doing to like, I don't know, a 964 3.6 Turbo S flat bar.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean? I just think that kind of, it is one of those things you just leave as it is.
Yeah.
But whereas something like, I don't know, the anniversary edition behind Tom over there, like, yes, that's a rare car. It's one of the 8 surviving. But at the end of the day, all the modifications which are done are all fully reversible, so I haven't done things which you can't reverse. So I think the car kind of speaks to you and tells you how far you can go with the modifications without, you know, getting it to a point where it's irreversible.
Yeah, definitely.
We won't talk about it in much detail, but behind us over there is a car that's very close to my heart, and that car is modified to a point where it'll never be back to its original shape. But that's because it's not a rare car.
Yeah.
But we won't let Tom film that too much, 'cause that's a whole different conversation for another time. There's a little Easter egg there. Is that Easter egg? Is that the right one I'm doing?
Yeah.
But I think that what you've done with this car, you know, what's called the car is suited to this kind of modification.
Yeah.
I don't think it's not, you know, what's called, at the end of the day, it's it's a Carrera 4,
Yeah.
of which there are quite a few, so I don't think it's sacrilegious. Everything that you've done, you know, what's called is fully reversible if somebody wanted to reverse it. And at the end of the day, it's your car. You're here to live your own life, not somebody else's.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a function guy, I'm a driving guy, so for me this would be too low, but it doesn't change the fact that I can appreciate the level of detail and love and passion that you put into this car, hence why it's here today. Yeah. Okay, cool. And I see you finished the calipers in silver. That's very smart.
Yeah, all the little details.
And you resisted the temptation not to put cross-drill brakes?
No,
Discs?
I did. Yeah, they're all stock brakes. Yeah, all new stock brakes. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. To be honest with you, a lot of people put cross-drill discs on their cars, and I'm guilty of doing it.
Yeah.
And then you end up with like micro cracks between the two, especially if you start tracking it. So I'd never put that on a track car. I'd go for more like a groove disc or something. Okay, so we can't not talk about this interior because it is absolutely stunning. I'm gonna, if it's all right with you, I'm gonna go on the other side and just hop into the driver's seat. Is that cool?
Sure.
Yeah. So talk to me about the thought process behind this interior.
It
smells good. Sorry.
I always wanted this sport turbo Recaros, which were quite a lot of money at the time. I managed to get these that wanted recovering. They're in a pretty bad way.
So you had the comfort seats in this car when you first got it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
And you've gone with the turbo seats, which have the bigger bolsters.
Yeah, bigger bolsters.
Make a huge difference.
Yeah, they were really tatty, but it didn't matter because I was always going to retrim it. And then I saw the options for the leather, and I thought that was a little bit different to have something sort of grainy.
Yeah, the grain is much bigger, isn't it? It feels more like a buffalo leather almost,
it's
thicker
weird,
as well.
It's weird. Yeah, I'd never seen it before, but it's
quite matte.
Yeah.
Really smart.
And then I stumbled across the Recaro trim, which I was looking for years. And I went to buy a steering wheel for the Porsche from a guy. Just got chatting about interiors, and he said that he got some. He sort of collected sort of unusual Porsche bits, and he said, I've got some. I said, well, is there any chance that you'd sell it? And he said, yeah. So it just locked in nicely. Nice. Yeah, we're getting the steering wheel and the trim. So yeah.
And he had enough of this Recaro.
He had enough to
do the car.
He had enough to do 2 interiors, but the trimmer wasted quite a lot on bits that he thought I wanted on the car, and I didn't. So yeah, he splattered it everywhere, all over the parcel shelf, and I didn't ask for that. So he kind of ruined the fact that I could have done another full interior with it. But yeah, and it is. I think there's someone reproducing it, but it seems to go quite quickly. It's quite hard to find it. Yeah. They do it in an orange as well, which is really nice.
I've seen that before.
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. It's a real interesting texture to it as well. And it looks like, and I'm guessing the Recaro, that's not embroidery. Is that a dye, do you think? What do you think?
It's just, it's almost like a print if you feel it, because it's almost raised, isn't it? Almost
it is,
like
you're right, actually. That is embroidered, isn't it?
Yeah.
God, that's subtle. Because actually the grain, for want of a better word, is going the wrong way. It's going a different way, sorry.
Yeah.
The thread is going horizontally here, and then it's going vertically where the Recaro is itself.
Yeah, no, it's good.
What a really cool detail.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's
I've never seen
a lot of attention. They used to have it a lot in the drift cars back in the day. Yeah.
Really, really cool. And it's something that was originally in 964s or originally in Porsches?
No. I'd never seen it in Porsches. I think.
So where would it usually? Where would it have usually popped up?
That might be a lie, actually. I think I've seen it on a couple of BMWs. And I think that they did do it in a Porsche,
right?
But I'm not sure what model it was.
Yeah.
You often see the seats come up with that interior, but it's hard to know what car that they come out of.
Oh, it's really nice. Yeah. Okay, and I see you've done the knee roll here as well, all around the handbrake, the gear stick. All looks really smart. And you've got Porsche PCCM unit.
Yeah, that's just been put in just recently.
How do you find it?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's not too bad at all. Yeah.
No, they're a good unit because everyone bangs on about how what do you call it? how you just need the sound of the engine, but really on a longer journey, I
Yeah,
quite
it's
enjoy
nice to
it.
have a little bit of music,
Yeah.
and it's got the sat nav on there as well, which can come in handy sometimes.
Well, it's the Apple CarPlay that I love.
Yeah.
Being able to have Waze,
Yeah,
Google Maps,
yeah,
and
of
Spotify
course, yeah,
sorted,
yeah,
really.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And what was the other question I wanted to ask? Yeah, so where are the speakers? Because normally they'd be in the door cards here.
Yeah, we deleted them out the door cards.
Okay.
And there's 2 speakers just in this centre
Uh-huh.
section here, just some small speakers. Nothing massive. I didn't want loads of amps and speakers cut into parcel shelves, so they're just
Yeah, yeah.
discreet under there. Yeah.
So there's just 2 here, none on the rear parcel shelf
No,
either?
None.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was it, just to clean up the look and keep it really fun?
Less fuss.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Steering wheel, we've got to talk about this. I've never seen the steering wheel before. Certainly not in a Porsche anyway.
No, my friend actually told me about that when I was looking for a steering wheel. They do an earlier one with like tubes instead of the square section.
Is that the Porsche design one?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's the one I've got in
the
mine.
tube, yeah.
Yeah.
And my friend showed me that one and said this would suit your car, and it's wooden underneath there, so I had it trimmed.
These bits
Yeah.
are wood?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it was underneath. I think they've got a sort of wooden section. I think that's right anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think.
So you had these bits trimmed?
Yeah. This is all
I'm
trimmed.
going to take apart your steering wheel, I'm getting a bit nervous.
But I'd not seen one before.
Yeah. No, it's really
Yeah.
interesting. It's a smaller diameter, and there are grooves here for the thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what the name of this Momo is?
I haven't got a clue. No,
Yeah.
I don't know the part number. Yeah.
I'd be tempted.
It might be that bit that was wood. I know that there was something on it.
Something that's wood.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so long ago since I bought it. It's hard to remember.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to take these screws out and
Yeah.
anodise those black,
Yeah.
or paint, have them powder
that'd be a
coated
good
black.
detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, really crisp, lovely interior, and smells fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
It smells really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, it still smells.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Greg, thank you so much for bringing the car in.
No problem.
It's a real stunner, and the level of attention to detail is super impressive. Yeah, and obviously the paintwork. Well, I expect nothing less from a painter of your caliber.
Thanks.
Especially
Yeah,
in your own car as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
No, thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
I've
Thanks for
enjoyed
having
it.
me.
It's nice to have
Thanks
a
for coming
look
to
around.
Megaphonics as well.
Okay,
You know,
yeah,
it's nice to see the car. Because you say yourself, you know, what's called you're busy with life and everything, and the car doesn't get out that often. So it was a nice honour
nice
to
to
see
get
it
it
rolling
out.
into Megaphonics last year. Thinking, okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm proud to say this car came out for the
Yeah.
event. Yeah.
Looking forward to the next one.
Yeah. Cheers, dude. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.